Good evening, everybody.
We have to wait for our heads, or are we good?
Okay. This meeting is in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law PL 1975, Chapter 231. Notice this meeting was posted in two newspapers, The Record and the Ridgewood News. Public is advised land use board rules that the meetings will be concluded by 10 p.m. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice Chairman Dewan.
Here.
Mr. Leavenworth.
Here.
Mr. Kaufman.
Here.
Mr. Shapiro.
Here.
Mr. Panzo.
Here.
Mr. DiStefano.
Here.
Picnic. Here. And Chairman Donabady.
Sorry, here, yeah, I'm here.
All right, everybody's here.
Okay, we gotta do the swearing in for Brian and Linda. You guys have your oaths?
Yes,
Want to read them for me?
we're gonna read them together.
You can read them together. Or do you want?
Do they need a vote? They don't.
No, they don't need to Bible. Do you want? Yeah, you could read them together. Just read them all out
Do we
together.
have to even read them?
You do.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
So, Brian, ready?
On three.
Whenever you're ready.
1, 2, 3.
I, Linda Picnic, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state, under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully and justly perform all the duties as a member of the Land Use Board, the Borough of Wickliffe, according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Yay.
I know, but you
Yeah.
didn't say late. You just said.
You got a pen? Yeah. Hold on. There's a pen. All righty. So we have the resolution for 240, 258, and 264 Broadway. Preliminary investigation for area need redevelopment. Any issues with the resolution? Any changes or amendments to it, or any questions on it? Yeah. We need a motion before we can.
Motion approved.
Second.
You wanna?
Sorry, motion to approve the resolution.
Leavenworth.
Aye.
Mr. Shapiro.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Oh, wait, yes. Mr. Panzo.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Dewan.
Yeah.
Mr. Kaufman.
Yes.
Chairman Donabady.
Yes. Now we have. You wanna make a motion for the minute?
Motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And now we have our presentation from Daniel.
Hi, everybody.
All right.
I'm right over here in the corner. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Dan Halvin. I am the Affordable Housing Planning Consultant for the Borough of Wickliffe Lake. And I am coming here to you tonight from T&M Associates. I'm presenting a few things tonight and starting them off with the amendment to the fourth round housing plan. Just for some background, because I think there's some new faces here tonight, the affordable housing has been a requirement in New Jersey since the mid-1970s. The state's Supreme Court determined that every municipality has a constitutional obligation to create a opportunity for affordable housing, and that has manifested in the adoption of the Fair Housing Act in 1985 that created what was formerly known as the Council on Affordable Housing, who set rules for how to create affordable housing, told every municipality what number of affordable units they had to create or create an opportunity for, and then oversaw that process. If you may remember that they sort of fell apart in 2015, and in 2018, the borough adopted a third round affordable housing plan as a result of litigation from Fair Share Housing Center. Excuse me. And that resulted in the adoption of some overlay zones throughout the municipality to create affordable housing. Since then, in 2024, the state recognizing that COA is no longer in existence and that the court process is burdensome and takes entirely too long, they adopted a statute that is called PL 2024 C2. And what that did is it created a new set of rules for the fourth round that we are currently in and all future rounds, assuming that it is not replaced. We gave every municipality until June 30th to create an affordable housing plan. Of course, the state didn't tell every municipality what their affordable housing obligation was until mid-October of 2024. I'm sorry, June 30th of 2025, I forgot to say. They told everybody what their affordable housing numbers were in October of 2024, and then required municipalities to declare if they agreed with the state's number by January 2025. We told the state we didn't agree, and we got our number adjusted in the spring last year. And of course, the state program didn't officially tell us that our number was adjusted until May of 2025. Notwithstanding, we complied with the state rules to adopt a housing plan by June 30th of 2025, based on the statute and based on our understanding of the rules. However, between June 30th and August 31st, 2025, interested parties were able to challenge the housing plans of every municipality in the state. And so what happened in Woodcliff Lake are two things. Fair Share Housing Center, which is an organization that is sort of the catalyst of affordable housing change around the state in the last decade and a half, challenged the borough's plan, said that we didn't do some calculations correctly, said that some zones and aspects of the plan were not constitutional or not complying with Fair Housing Act. And what also happened is that the owner for 100 Tice also challenged our plan because we had determined that we did not want to include them in the plan when we adopted it in June. They had given us a overly dense concept plan too close to the adoption date, and we determined that we would not include them. They challenged our plan and said that we have to include them. And what took place is a process where between September and December of 2025, we met with 100 Tice, Fair Share Housing Center, through several mediation sessions that were moderated by Joseph Burgess. He is a planner, and he is appointed by the program as the special adjudicator, which means that it is his job to advise the affordable housing program judge, who really makes the decisions on our case, as to whether he thinks our plan is deficient, whether he thinks that the challenges against the plan are legitimate, and to help the party settle. So what took place in those mediation sessions is that we heard the complaints from Fair Share Housing Center. We heard the complaints from 100 Tice, and we found ourselves in a situation where if we do not settle, the program judge and the special adjudicator advise a superior court judge as to whether they think our plan is deficient. And if they say that our plan is deficient, we could be faced with what's called builder's remedy. Builder's remedy lawsuit essentially means that a developer can have a court overturn the zoning on a particular property and obtain obscene densities that come along with site design that makes no sense. And so we had determined that the best way to avoid that scenario is to settle. So what the result of that process, and I'm sorry, my computer keeps clocking out while I'm trying to look at it, is that our plan was amended slightly. So if you were to go back to our plan that we adopted back in June of 2025, you'll see that we'd had what is called a vacant land adjustment. Actually, I'm sorry, I should back up here. when I said that back in spring of 2025, we had negotiated to get a more favorable affordable housing obligation allocated to us, and that number is 329 units. And what that means is that the state determined that 329 units, that the borough had to create an opportunity for 329 new affordable housing units over the next 10 years. Because we are a largely built out municipality, we're able to do something called a vacant land adjustment. And what that means is we do an analysis where we show that there's not a whole lot of vacant land in town to create that number of affordable units. And so we present a number based on some mapping and analysis that we think is realistic for us to zone for. We were able to, we initially tried to zone down for, I believe the number was 87. And we were told that that number is not consistent with the methodology for calculating our obligation. So what we've done is adjusted the number to 131, and that encompasses projects that were already in motion when we did the June affordable housing plan. That we're also required to plan for 25% of what is called the unmet need. The unmet need is the difference between the 360 units that the state told us we have to create and 131 units that we mapped out to say that we have capacity to create. We're actually only supposed to produce the 25% of that number, which is 58 units. So what we've done is we have a plan here for 131 units that are being created through the 240 Broadway site that you just approved the resolution for declaration of investigation of area in need of redevelopment. A redevelopment plan for the Hilton site, which has been in the process for a while now. The redevelopment plan for BMW, which was approved back in, I think, the fall. An existing application that was approved by the zoning board last year at 126 Broadway. Excess units that were created at a approved development at 230 Broadway, an existing boarding house, and an existing zone at THO, the THO2 townhouse zone in the southwest corner of the municipality. The one thing that has been added to this plan is 240 Broadway is obviously being expanded. And we, in order to settle and to avoid overdevelopment on 100 Tice, we agreed to rezone the 100 Tice property to allow for up to 91 townhouse units, of which 18 would be affordable. And that would go to the 58 units of unmet need. And so the amended plan that you see tonight is essentially intended to effectuate the agreement between Fair Share Housing Center, the borough, and on the owners of 100 Tice, and make sure that we do not find ourselves in a situation where 100 Tice or potentially other builders are able to claim that we are not meeting our affordable housing obligation and to obtain obscenely high densities and building heights elsewhere in the municipality. That is the map light version of the summary of the plan. And I know I've talked for a while, so I think I want to open up to questions from the board members before I proceed. Board discussion.
The last two, the two Fair Share and 100 Tice were the ones that contested, right? Does this settle that, or?
Yes, this plan, if as long as it's adopted before March 15th, settles those challenges, provided that we also adopt the zoning on 100 Tice, as well as some of these updated, some of these other ordinances that are on the agenda for review tonight.
Right, but just the amendment has to be, there's no way that we're gonna have the zoning, are we gonna have the zoning in place by the 15th?
Yes, we are.
They are, so the
Yeah.
council's already.
Yeah, so let me, so tonight, the objective is to adopt the housing plan amendment and to do the consistency reviews for these ordinances. And then on, I believe, March 16th, yes, sorry, you were right, we got an exception. March 16th is actually going to be the date that the ordinances are adopted.
If they have a step to do a second reading.
Yes, exactly. We were able to get an exception from Fair Share Housing Center to basically say they won't tell the courts to tear us apart if we do 6.
Right, because the last thing we want to do is go through, get this amendment, and then still have them on our backs with challenge.
That's correct, yes.
Can't have them go back on their work, right?
Right.
And this leaves us with, did you say 58 or 58 less the 18 from?
No, it's, so what this plan is, so I should remind you, the plan that was adopted back in June, that was 131 units. This one is 100 and, just bear with me a second. It's 100 and. Yeah, sorry. It is actually, in terms of the actual number of units, it is, somebody do quick math, 157 units. And there's, because we're also eligible for bonus credits. So the number that you actually see in terms of credits is 189, but 32 of those credits are what we call bonus credits. Certain types of development are eligible to count units as 1.5 or 2 units.
Understood.
Yeah.
Again, so our total requirement from the fair share vacant land assessment was how much?
131 units. And then there's that
The unmet need, which we have to zone for 25%.
Yeah, and
Right.
that 25% equals 58. So the whole plan is.
And out of that 58 isn't 100, this approval that we're
Yeah, 100
contemplating
Tyson is part of it.
is going to be 100 is part of the 58.
Yes, it is.
So it'll
18
take
units.
down the 58 by 18
Yes.
at least, right?
That's right.
So once we're done, we should only have an unmet need of 40.
Yeah, and that's addressed through your existing zoning at the BMW redevelopment plan and your THO2 zone. So there's nothing else that you have to do once this plan is adopted.
Okay. All right, and go ahead. Yeah, any other questions?
You just said there's nothing else we have to do.
Except live with it.
Right, as in like no new developments.
Based on what's already in place. And. You said BMW.
So all of the ordinance, I'm sorry, maybe that was not, I don't want to be taken too literally. So
BMW was part of the original.
BMW is part of this. It's already been adopted. So when I say you have nothing else to do, what I mean is that you have a plan here that addresses every unit that you are required to produce according to the state law. As long as you also adopt these other ordinances or as long as the borough adopts these other ordinances that you're reviewing for consistency tonight. So it's not like, you know.
Right, so the 25% of the unmet need is going to be basically covered by 100 Tice picking up 18 of them.
Yeah.
And then the Townhouse 2 overlay district, right?
Yes, and a portion of the BMW project. If you're looking at, if you have in front of you, if you have the report in front of you, if you look at page 8.
Do you have any ability to?
Do we have that?
I can have them pull up.
Yeah, if I can. Let me see. Nope. Yeah, why don't I do that? So I normally come with a PowerPoint, but not this one.
No, the one that's up on your right,
I normally can do a PowerPoint for something that's math heavy, but when we're doing these for about Dublin town, so it's get that to happen. All right, I'm connected.
It'll come through.
Okay.
So basically you're taking the supportive housing from BMW.
Yes. All right, there you go. So let me see.
Just zoom in a little bit. So
Yeah. All right, so. Right, we got 131 unit RDP. We're addressing that with 99 units, 32 bonus credits for 131 total credits against that RDP. RDP is met.
Mhm.
We've got the 58 unit portion of the unmet need that we have to address. That includes 18 units out of 100 Tice,
Mhm.
the 4 units that could be built at max build out of the THO townhouse zone,
Mhm.
2, and 36 units from BMW.
Okay, so the support of the BMW is split between the realistic and the unmet needs?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's what I was confused.
Okay, yeah, it's sort of,
So it completes the 25% of the unmet need,
correct.
right?
Mhm.
And no one can come back over the next 10 years until, I guess,
Till round 5.
till round 5 comes in.
Yeah, so there's a few, it's a yes, but,
Yes, but I want to hear the but.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the but. So there's a few things. So one, in 5 years, by July 1st of 2030, we have to do what's called a look back and basically see, have any of these.
Is the plan coming together?
Yes, it's the plan coming together.
Okay.
And if it's not, then we may be required to make some changes. And that may include replacing or adding new zones.
Right.
Or beefing up existing zones.
But if everybody does what they say they're gonna do, in theory, we're good for round 4, which would push us through
Yes,
into what year?
2035.
2035.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another but.
There's another but. There's 2 buts.
Which is not actually is less painful than it sounds if another property in town becomes available and redeveloped, or the municipal or somebody comes forward and says they want to do a redevelopment with inclusionary housing. We have to update that vacant land number, that RDP of 131 units, to reflect their project. But it's kind of a 1-for-1. It's treated basically as a self-addressing process, because our RDP goes up. If they're creating 5 affordable housing units, our RDP goes up by 5 units, but so does the number of units in our plan. So
if another property gets determined to be added to the vacant land assessment, we have to entertain redeveloping it? Say, let's say another office building goes dark.
Yeah.
And they come to this board and they want to do some sort of redevelopment that includes, residential. Is it required or?
I wish our affordable housing attorney was here. Because she could tell you for good. And the answer I can give you is maybe. And it's because it depends on some of the factors of the specific situation. We have to determine if it's meets criteria called suitability criteria, which is,
All right, so the butts are complicated.
yes, the buts are complicated.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess that's all for my question.
I would assume you're gonna get more units if you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I mean, I think this is, again, the best of the worst scenario, so.
And that's exactly true. I like to conclude my presentation by always saying it's an unfortunate situation that the state imposes on every municipality. And that, if the municipality were to not participate in this process and a good faith effort, the consequences could be far more dire.
That would open up to builder's remedy. So at least we're
Yes.
protected from a builder's remedy lawsuit
Yes.
over the next.
Yeah, and
10
this is in
years.
fact, as you say, the best case scenario.
So it's black.
Is pretty much just at the state level. Are there any exceptions to the builder's remedy lawsuits?
What do you mean exceptions?
Are there any buts? Or are we protected from a builder's remedy?
No, you're protected from builder's remedy if you meet all the dates and whatnot.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, any other questions from the board members? Planner, do you have a question? David, do you have any questions for him or not?
Well, I'll just say one thing, unless you don't follow the plan.
Right.
If you deny.
Assuming everybody does what they say they're gonna do, we're
Including-
protected, including
yes,
us.
Including, yes.
Right. Or including the town.
And you could have a change in administration, they could do something, I don't, right, but.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk in our town about overdevelopment and traffic and schools and things like that. So based on the type of housing that's going in, unit type specifically, can you just go through that and give us a little bit of an education, folks who are listening about like families, vehicles, you know, things that you know about in your world that maybe we should all think about or know about or educate us on as we go through this process.
Sure. So I guess I am no longer sharing screen, but what I'll tell you is that let me see, let me just get the math right here.
Can I give you some examples, like
Yeah, sure.
family to you might mean, you know, planning world, X amount of people, X amount of people in the school system.
Yeah, there are multipliers, and what I'll tell you is that there's fewer children per family than you would expect. The ratio, I think, is, you know, if I had to guesstimate, I'd say for every family of every family, 2-bedroom house is maybe 0.3 to 0.6 children. So people are probably using the second bedroom as an office in that case.
Does it make a difference between a sale and a rental? Does it also? in your mind?
Yeah, it's actually there, it's not a straight yes, no, because it depends on the type of unit, the income, how old the buildings are. It's really kind of unpredictable. What I will say is that with the affordable units, they are heavily regulated as far as how many people can live in the units. You have an administrative agent whose responsibility is to make sure that people who are supposed to go into those affordable units are the ones who are following the law. So you can't have too many kids in one bedroom, for example. So you're not going to have an unexpected number of children in the affordable units. There is a misconception because I guess the lower income families tend to generate more children, but you're not going to have overcrowding of apartments with these.
They're very restrictive,
Yeah.
the affordable, even
Yeah.
getting them is very difficult.
How about under like 100 types of senior?
I will say,
91?
yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't think I was, I don't think I stated when we were talking before that the 100 Tice units are they're gonna be senior apartments. 25 of the market rate units are gonna be senior targeted. So the ground floors are gonna be, oh, great, it's back up. The ground floors are gonna have a bedroom and living space, so that if folks who aren't able to go upstairs every night for their bedrooms are gonna be able to live, you know, the one story lifestyle. We've got 17 of the units in our plan are special needs or transitional housing, and the rest are family.
And sorry, last question. Seniors 55 and older? Or is
Yes, it is 55. Anyway,
Everybody, so the two. Each one. Yes, for one for each. These are just the other two. They were longer. She wasn't sure if she should print them out, so I asked her to print them.
He's past the whole. All right, everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one,
One pack.
except Dave. Dave doesn't
Keep
need.
them together,
Yeah, don't
keep them
separate.
together.
Those are the two larger ordinances.
Yep. Oh, I got you. Yeah, it's one packet per person. Little slow. Anybody else?
All right,
Is there a chance that you get a copies of what was distributed?
they're online. I don't know if we have any extras, but we'll see when we get to the ordinances. We'll see if we have any extras.
The draft,
Yeah,
of the draft, that's not,
yeah, what you can see, we can.
okay.
Because it's a draft.
Understood.
Okay, so once it's,
You can see it.
when it's time for public, we'll let you have your questions, all right?
Yeah, I'll go print one.
Yes.
Yeah.
See mine? That's fine, they can share it.
Yeah. You know,
You want me to the whole packet? You're welcome.
So we should adopt it before it's distributed to the public.
Yeah.
Just hang tight with that, okay? So do we have any other questions for Dan? On the board? No? All right, so then what we should do is make a resolution. Or make a motion, and then once this is adopted, then we can distribute it.
Motion to adopt the First Amendment to the fourth round housing plan.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Lazarus,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yeah.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Duan, Mr. Kaufman,
Yes.
Mr. Di Stefano,
Yes.
Picnic.
Yeah.
Chairman Bellamy.
Yes. Now it would be distributed. It's a public document.
All right.
You get it.
Thank you, Dan.
I'm here for some of the ordinances too, so I can either sit
You're
here or
gonna, you're
go
gonna,
away.
you're gonna sit tight for the ordinances, okay? Yeah, I guess we can go right into the ordinances then.
You want a separate vote for each one?
But do you wanna give us a brief on each one?
Yeah, I can give you a
first?
brief on each
Yeah,
one,
it's
and then
probably
you can
good.
decide how you want to do it. So, I'm here to talk about, and I'm gonna get the agenda to make sure I don't forget. I'm here to talk about 4 of these ordinances. Well, there's 4 ordinances. There you go. So, the first one is the Affordable Housing Development Fee Ordinance. So this is an ordinance that you already have on the books. However, we are required to update the ordinance, because the state has updated its own rules that, guide, the collection and spending of affordable housing trust funds. The borough has an affordable housing trust fund for the purpose of paying its affordable housing professionals, its staff, whose responsibilities include affordable housing purposes, and for making payments towards the creation of affordable housing in compliance with the affordable housing
So the
plan.
state made fees that they need to collect in.
No, the state, no, well, actually, yes and no. So the borough is allowed to collect fees for its own purposes in creating affordable housing and paying its staff and professionals. The state made new rules for how those fees are collected and spent. We have to codify them. The rules are largely mandatory, standard. You don't have a whole lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do in the ordinance. There is some flexibility in the collection of fees from new residential development. I've basically copied whatever the rules were that were adopted in 2023 to that effect. So no changes there. The new fee rules are actually somewhat more permissive to the municipality. There's more money available to spend toward professionals' fees and toward projects that actually make a difference. There used to be some required minimums of how much you have to pay for certain programs, and now those minimums are gone. It's to your benefit, actually, these changes. The next ordinance is the development of low moderate income housing, another existing ordinance. So that has to be, that was previously adopted to codify state rules, which have to be updated based on states' updated rules. That ordinance pertains to the rules for creating, marketing, the pricing of sales and rentals for affordable housing units, and for the rules for the municipality in dealing with challenges related to ownership and rental disputes with those things. So also entirely 90% mandatory language.
Seems like we have many choices, but okay. All right. So that's 2603.
Yes, and it doesn't make a huge difference for the borough. It's just codifying the state's language on there. 2604 is the creating of an overlay zone on 100 Tice Boulevard. As we talked about, this is part of the challenge from the challenge that we were dealing with in the fall. And what this ordinance does is it allows
allows for the development of a 91-unit townhouse and apartment development, or I guess mixed-use development, which would include 18 affordable housing units. Sorry, bear with me. The zoning bulk standards were based on the concept plan that was provided by 100 Tice. So the setbacks reflect what was on the plans, the coverage, et cetera. So if you have any questions on those standards, I'm happy to answer them.
Total density there is 7.6.
Yeah, 7.6, which I think the adjacent developments are about 7 units an acre too, so it's not substantially different from that.
And of these, the 18 will be for senior?
18 apartments will be for senior, and those are the affordable units, and 25, like I said, will be marketed, or I guess age targeted, so a family could live there, but they are designed for optimal living for seniors with limited mobility.
And these will be all rentals, or are these gonna be for sale?
No, these will be for sale.
For sale, units,
Yeah.
right?
Well, the apartments will probably be rentals. I think
Right.
it's going to be condoized, if I had to imagine.
That's 2604.
All right, if there's no questions on that. The last ordinance here is just amending the THO2 Townhome Overlay District to comply with fair shares request that there just be a flat 20% set aside requirement in that zone. What that means is it used to be the standard that if you had a rental development, 15% of the units would be affordable. And if you had a for sale development, 20% of the units would be affordable. And now if you're a town that seeks a vacant land adjustment like what Cliff Lake did, you're expected to just have a flat 20% set aside requirement. So no matter what the tenure is of the units, 20% of the units would be affordable.
And this, you think gives an allocation of 4 units?
Yeah, that's at the maximum build out of the site, you would have 4 affordable units.
So
4 out of, so you're looking at 20 units total.
20,
That's
20 altogether, of which 4
would be affordable. Correct.
right? Not
Yeah.
24 units, but 20 altogether, 4 of them being affordable.
That's right.
Right, and this basically, just so we're all aware, this is basically for consistency review from the mayor and council.
Yeah.
So they introduced these 4 ordinances in order to comply with the fair share stipulation to settle with 100 Tice and fair share. So that we would be protected from a builder's remedy. That's the intent and the purpose of these ordinances. Is that correct then?
That's correct. And normally the planning board's purview with reviewing an ordinance is consistency with the master plan. The affordable housing plan is an amendment to the master plan. So you're considering these ordinances for consistency with the housing plan.
Mr. Trost, any questions or comments on these ordinances and whether or not they are consistent with our newly adopted amendment to our master plan?
I would say they are consistent. Great job, Dan, and I would encourage them to say yes
Right.
to make sure you have the unity. Yes, those who run this.
Go ahead, James.
Just for clarification, who's our municipal housing liaison and who's our administrative agent? Identified?
I have to get back to you about the liaison. Are you the liaison? Are you?
I mean, second, but doesn't.
Okay.
Nicole is the,
No, the liaison, not the liaison.
Right, for like
council, yeah.
applications.
Yeah, municipal housing liaison is different from the liaison to the. Yeah, so there's a group called
An
Piata
entity
Associates.
that the mayor and council hire to
Yeah.
basically manage, and I think they do a lot of things.
And there are
Yes.
administrative agent as well, or is our borough administrator acting as our?
I think Clarice is acting as the agent. But Piazza and Associates, I think, is actually handling.
She's acting as the liaison, the agent is.
Okay, there you
With you.
go. I was gonna say administrator, but okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
and I don't know if you know how the system works, but it's a lottery type system, so. Any other questions from the board members? We get a motion. Basically for consistency review of the 4 ordinances that was presented by Dan.
Motion for consistency review of the 4 ordinances that were presented by Dan.
Roll call.
Mr. Lazarus,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Mr. Penza,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Dewan,
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman,
Yes.
Mr. DeStefano,
Yes.
Ms. Peckinpah.
Yes.
and vote for me.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dan.
I'll sit back here because I'm sure more questions will come up.
So when we get to open, there'll be some questions.
Thank you.
I don't think. Good.
Should all be scared. As I'm getting started, I just wanna say a couple things. You know, there's 560 some odd towns in the state of New Jersey, and I would tell you that less than a handful of those really want to have to be mandated to provide the density of affordable housing that's being required by the state. So when the governing body moves forward with these things, it is with the objective to protect the borough against what could be the worst case scenario or much worse case scenario in terms of number of units, number of affordable units. Dan and his firm, Wendy Kuroga and her firm, who is the redevelopment attorney and the affordable housing attorney, have done a really great job in advocating for negotiating against fair share and against objectors throughout the process to make sure that they are bringing the number down as much as possible. You know, Dan talked about the negotiations he had when he wrote the original 4th round plan. I'll tell you that Fair Share wanted the numbers to be much higher. And through a series of conversations and discussions that I was a part of, you know, Dan advocated to make sure that the number was as low as possible. So he has done everything in his power to make sure that the borough is minimized the amount of development that it has to allow for in order to be able to protect yourself for the next 10 years. And sometimes you don't see all that. So I just wanted to share that with you that him and his group have done a really great job in advocating for the town in a situation where nobody wants this type of development in their communities. So
Thank you, Brad.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Oh, stop.
So here this evening, do I need to be sworn in? Tell me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Still got your license?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I didn't laugh about that, right? Yes, I do.
You swear the testimony about to give this board the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Just to get the state your name for the record.
I will. For the record, Fran Reiner with FAR Planning. I'm here this evening on behalf of the governing body to present 2 redevelopment plans to the board for consistency review, just so everybody understands what the role of the planning board in this particular process is to determine whether or not these redevelopment plans are consistent with the borough's master plan. The redevelopment process is driven by the governing body. So we're going to present to you the plans and talk about what is in those plans. And then the last part of my presentation, we'll talk about how we believe that it is consistent with the borough's master plan, and the board's objective here is to determine whether or not they agree that it is or is not consistent and provide a recommendation to the governing body as such.
Are you gonna do them individually?
I'm going to do them individually, yes. So I'm going to start with 200 Tice Boulevard, which is block 301, lot 304. Again, I think that it's really important to understand why the borough is doing this. They're doing this to protect the borough from future builder remedy suits, It's also important to note that this particular property was included in the fourth round housing and spending plan that Dan had talked about before, and that the property met the requirement of available and suitable per the fourth round plan. The redevelopment process has 3 steps to it. We have gone through the first step. The first step was an investigation study. We presented to you why we believe the property met the statutory criteria, and it was adopted in June of 2025. The second step in the process would be the redevelopment plan, which I'm here to present to you tonight. Again, the planning board determines if the plan's consistent. And then the adoption of it would be at a second reading of the mayor and council. And that second reading would be a public meeting where the public would be able to provide input and comments as to the redevelopment plan itself. This redevelopment plan is written so that it represents new zoning, meaning it supersedes the underlying zoning. The third step in the process would be a site plan application. And that would be a developer coming in to the board, presenting their case as to why that plan meets all of the requirements. And in the case that they are allowed to have what are determined to be C variances, which are bulk variances, but they are not allowed to come in and present D variances, which are density and height variances. If they were to ask for D variances, they'd have to actually go back through the process and amend the redevelopment plan. So regarding this redevelopment plan, on the right of the map, we have what is proposed in terms of the development is for townhomes. There are 2 types of townhomes that are being proposed. One we've identified in the plan as just townhomes. The other we've identified as manor townhomes. I will say that the manor townhomes are larger. They are intended to be for sale. The townhomes at this point, have been indicated that they would likely be for rent. The manor townhomes have some specific design criteria that are different than the townhomes that we'll get into in a minute. So that's what's in terms of permitted uses are allowed. Obviously, there is an affordable housing component to this in order for us to meet the fourth round housing plan. You can see the accessory uses that are permitted. They're all consistent with the primary permitted uses. In addition, open space, parking, roads, and utility related facilities are all part of the permitted uses. In terms of the bulk standards, we've identified and written the plan to have a minimum project area of 20 acres. We do this so that the property cannot be broken up and presented in 2 different site plan applications. It will be presented as a single site plan application because the property is slightly over 20 acres. Has a maximum of 148 units that are permitted. The maximum building height is 3.5 stories and 42 feet. Maximum number of phases are 2, which are identified in the 2 colors. So the number of buildings don't dictate a phase. It's actually by the building type. There has a surface coverage of 60%, meaning buildings, roads, sidewalks has a maximum surface impervious coverage of 60%, a maximum building coverage of 20%, and a minimum affordable housing requirement of 20%. And they'll have to meet the UHAC rules in terms of the unit breakdowns of 1, 2s, and 3 bedrooms. We have looked at and required certain setbacks to both protect the adjacent properties and ensure that the property isn't infringing on any of the adjacent single-family residential, which would be to the bottom of this page. So on the front yard setback along Tice, we have a 40-foot minimum. We have a side yard setback, which are to the boundaries of 35 feet. That's to the building, and a rear setback of 50 feet. In addition to a rear setback of 50 feet to the existing residential. It's important to note that in the redevelopment plan, the setback at the rear and to the existing residential does not permit any building, any sidewalk, any roadway, any impervious surface. It has to be 50 feet of landscape and buffer. We have building setbacks to the interior roadway of 20 feet. That's garage facing, so that allows for a car to park in the garage and also a car to park in the driveway. Internal roads of side facing of 12.5 feet. And on the main entrance coming in off of Tice, we have an 18-foot from the roadway to the building. As I mentioned, the buffers, the minimum buffer is 50 foot. We also have buffers between buildings of 20 feet minimum. We have side yard buffers of 35 feet. Those are to the project, as well as the internal roadway dimension of 25 foot minimum, internal roadway, one way of 16 foot. We ran those through the building department, to the fire department for their review to make sure that everybody's comfortable with it from an emergency access and safety standpoint. The buildings on the top, those are the buildings that would be the townhomes. Buildings on the bottom are the ones that would be the manor townhomes. And then the bottom section is a section where Tice is on the left, through the existing berm, and then the building to the right. And we have required certain things within that buffer in terms of not permitting trees over 6 inches to be removed, other than if they are within a road right of way to access the property, or if they are within 10 feet of a foundation. And if they do have to remove certain trees, that those trees have to be replaced per the ordinance. In terms of the manor townhomes, master bedrooms are required to be on the first floor of all N unit manor townhomes. There's also a required optional elevator for all N unit manor townhomes. We're doing this in an effort to try and make these as marketable to over 55 seniors without kids as plausible. So the idea here is to make sure that we are providing a product that isn't just family oriented, but actually has design aspects that are for older and older people, older individuals with less likely to have school age kids. If dens are provided, they're not permitted to have a door. They can have what's called a pocket door, which is a sliding door. The elevations, the materials and design that come to this board as a part of a site plan application will mimic the ones in the redevelopment plan and on the screen. If they come to you with a different building elevation, you have the right to turn that application down. We have put that as a variance as opposed to just a waiver within the redevelopment plan. We have requirements for side building elevations as well, and no vinyl is permitted within the entirety of the redevelopment plan. In addition, we have landscape requirements, as I mentioned, regarding the existing trees in the setback, as well as fence requirements. We have minimum open space requirements. We have lighting requirements to make sure that they're dark sky compliant and not impacting adjacent properties. We have the internal roadways will be maintained by an HOA. So snow removal, all of that will be done by the HOA and not as part of the municipal cost. There will be a private hauler for the trash, and signage will have to meet the borough's requirements for signage. Again, all that will be part of a site plan application. Parking requirements are RSIS, and then there is an additional 11 spaces that are required as part of the clubhouse. The clubhouse would be only for residents of this community.
Both of the manor and the.
Yes. Yeah. Again, you can see some elevations here with some of the materials that are identified and listed within the redevelopment plan. Again, the plan is very clear that these elevations need to be consistent with what a site plan application submits to the board. In regards to the consistency review, so the first and probably most clear consistency review is that the fourth round housing and spending plan, which was adopted in June of 2025 and amended this evening, includes this property. And so obviously providing for the 148 units and the 20% set aside clearly meets the requirements of and is consistent with the borough's master plan. In addition, there are a number of items within the master plan that we think are relevant. Section 2.11 talks about maintaining and enhancing the economic vitality of non-residential districts. It specifically talks about Tice Boulevard. Now, one could look at that and say that you're putting residential on a non-residential property, historically non-residential property. We view this as consistent because placing residential in this particular property in proximity to the existing Tice corner or the Tice corner, right? The
Strip mall?
shopping mall.
Yeah,
Tice
Tice
Corner.
Center.
Tice Center, supports that as a retail commercial use. So having residential in close proximity actually supports the non-residential district. So we believe that, that is one of the reasons why it is consistent. To again, in objective 2, to strengthen existing business center along Tice. In addition, it talks about, on action 4, bullet number 2, if residential is proposed, it should complement the predominantly single-family residential neighborhood character of the adjacent areas. And so by providing townhouses, providing a maximum height of 35 feet in proximity to the single-family residential, we believe that is much more consistent in terms of being complementary as opposed to a larger multifamily building, which would back up to single-family. And so again, in terms of scale, in terms of density, in terms of design, we believe that is why the plan as it's been drafted would be deemed consistent. It's our opinion that because of the 4th round housing and spending plan and because of the design aspects that we've met, this plan can be deemed consistent with the borough's master plan. And we're happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the board members?
Can you go back to the second slide that you're on, where you're talking about the surface coverage area? Yeah, so I don't know if it matters, but the affordable housing requirements, the 20% that you're showing here, it's not reflected in this document. Does it need to be?
Says 30% in the document.
In this document?
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Which page? It should say
Should be on
20.
15, right?
I think it's in here.
I just assumed it was. Yes, page 15.
Fran, I believe it's in the beginning of the.
It is. So, yeah, so on page 5, let's see. No. On page 6, E, under affordable housing, it says the redevelopment requires construction of at least 20% of all residential units pursuant to the standards of this plan be set aside for low, moderate income households.
Okay.
So that,
I think on page 15, he's talking about the building coverage now, right? You're not
yeah,
talking
so the
about-
building coverage means that if you take the footprint of all the buildings, that cannot be more than 30% of the total area. The affordable is written on the page 6 of it.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
originally, on a number of our redevelopment plans, we actually do put it in the bulk standards, but we didn't want to duplicate it, so we put it in the front section. But that building coverage represents an actual,
It's like the footprint of
Yeah.
the unit.
Yeah, I just didn't, what you presented here didn't reflect it into the report.
Yeah.
When I was trying to.
Correct. It's not a percentage of affordable units, it's the
Right.
square footprint of the building.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Fred?
yes. So you take the square foot of all the buildings,
Right.
add them all up, divide
Can't
them
be
by
more
the
than
total
30.
acreage, and it
Can't
can't
be
be
more than
more than 30%. The affordable housing component, so of 148 units constructed, 20% of those would have to be affordable. That would put you at,
29.
no, that would be more than 29. Was it 20?
You said 149, right?
148, yeah. Yeah, 29, maybe 30. They'll have to prove that as part of a site plan application when they come.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this pretty much sets the standards pretty tightly with regards to what they could build and how they could build it. Is that correct?
The intent here is the redevelopment of properties is much more detailed than zoning. In other words, if we had just adopted zoning for this property, they could come in with the design of any type of unit they wanted. In other words, they could build flat roofs and modern buildings, and the board and the town would have very little say. Through the negotiations with this developer and meeting with the governing body, it was clear that they wanted a more traditional design parameters, which is why the buildings look like they do in the redevelopment plan, with the intent of making it look more like a single family type of product.
So this is designed for the town to have more input and more
Yes.
control of what goes in there. As
Absolutely.
opposed to be totally 100% against it, fighting it, and then they come in.
Yeah.
Get what they want.
Well, the worst thing that can happen is you don't include that type of detail, and then they come to you, the board, and you look at it,
A lot
and
of
don't
fun.
think it represents what the town should look like, but you really don't have an opportunity to say no to it. So now we've written very strict guidelines and requirements within this plan that you have a lot
And
of
that
say.
in theory, in concert with the actual developers, so that they shouldn't be coming to us for those changes. And if they do, they're seeking then a variance.
And I will tell you that what you have in this plan was not what the developer initially came to the
I
town.
can only imagine. right?
Very modern, flat roofs, metal panel, a lot of things that didn't represent what the governing body and myself really believe, it represents what you would want in terms of the type of product and the type of design. So there is a number of iterations that happen, backdoor, in going through this process to get to this.
Fran was right, it's 30 affordable units.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Spreadsheet's right.
Mr. Cruz, do you have any input or any comments on this?
Very thorough document, the master plan stuff that you've already read on page 8, goes through the goals and objectives, the frame that's touched on. And then at the end of the document, on page 30, it talks about the relationship of this development plan to the state plan, the county plan, and then the adjacent municipalities, which the conclusions are of the report that they're all consistent with all those stuff. You will have no negative impact. I'm sure I didn't miss that.
I mean, again. Basically, I feel that this is consistent with the motion.
Do we want to go through both, or we'll give these in?
No, we'll do them independently.
Motion, motion to move forward with consistency plan that's been presented.
For 210.
Tyson Falls.
Second.
Wadsworth,
Yes.
Shapiro.
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Dewan,
Yes.
Mr. Coffey,
Yes.
Mr. DeStefano,
Yeah.
Picnic,
Yes.
John Budgeon.
Yes.
Before I go to the next one, I know Mr. Shapiro had asked a question before, and I think it's important just to note that as a part of a site plan application, the applicant, a traffic study is required. And asking questions about what the estimated number of school age kids will be is also, I think, within the purview of the board being able to ask. I will say that there is a report through New Jersey Real Estate, I think it's through the Rutgers School, that either Dan, myself, or David can share with the board. It has kind of a 1 page of how you can see how many school age kids are likely to occur based on the
Is that an
unit type.
updated study?
Yeah, from 2016, been updated and it's based on hundreds of different projects and actual numbers of school age kids coming out of those projects. Whereas the original Rutgers report, which I think was 2016, was really just picking numbers out of the air. So we can share that with you.
If you don't
The
mind.
original one was early 2000s.
Oh, was it 2000?
Sorry, there was one from 2006. There is a real estate one in 2016, and then the Blaustein Planning School came out with another one in 2018.
Yeah. So we can share that with the board, and we'll send it to Clarice, and that way it can be shared with the board. Everybody can.
10 years from now, we'll rate our.
What's that?
In 10 years from now, we'll rate our own.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We'll be included for sure.
The interesting thing is, it's when 30% child bearing age, child bearing age, have no plants that have, so dramatically up. Let's kids.
Yeah.
Well, something like only 25% of all households in New Jersey, in the country now are families with children, as opposed to 50% like in the 70s.
I gotta go home and tell my husband we should have more kids. 3 is not enough.
Take a video.
There you go.
We're on the higher spectrum in this.
I know,
For sure.
I agree.
I have 3, and I think 3 is plenty.
How does it sound like kids for others who don't?
You want a kid?
The next plan I'm going to present is the redevelopment plan for 240, 258, 264 Broadway. which is block 2601, lots 15, 16, 7, and 17. I think it's important just to, for the public and for the board, a site plan was submitted to the board for block 2601, lot 15. And the board approved that site plan for, I believe it was 41 units, 2 single family, 39 units. As a part of that process, the public had raised a number of concerns about setbacks and about buffers and about impacts of the project on some of the existing single family and some of the existing adjacent properties. Developer went under contract with lots 16 and 17, and through a series of conversations with the borough indicated that they would consider a redevelopment plan if the impacts that the public had raised, the issues the public had raised, could be bettered through the process. In other words, not just take what was approved and make a bigger project, but take what was approved, make a bigger project, but make sure that the impacts that the public had raised as concerns were addressed in a better way, which is the result of this redevelopment plan. So this redevelopment plan, again, is consistent with the 4th round housing and spending plan. It was included in the 4th round housing and spending plan. It was identified as an available site. This requires a minimum of 12 affordable housing units per the redevelopment plan. As I mentioned, the initial step was that the developer secured a site plan approval. That will, if this plan is adopted, this will supersede that. The investigation study was designated, I believe it was tonight, at tonight's, so we presented it, and I think tonight it was codified, so the property was presented and meets the requirements as an area needed redevelopment. So that's the first step. Second step is this redevelopment plan, and again, the third step would be that unfortunately, you get to come back and have the developer submit another site plan application and go through that process again. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit better.
Did they figure out the acreage?
We do have the acreage, but I don't have it off the top of my head. Yes, we had that.
Got that straightened out?
Yeah. So on this particular slide on the right, that is the proposed site plan that is being proposed. There are 3 different colors. The yellow represents single family. The blue represents what we're calling townhomes. The red represents what we would identify as interlocking units, which are more like stacked units, more of a apartment type, where they're a unit over a unit over a unit. And so the proposal again requires 12 affordable housing units to be constructed as part of that, which was identified in the June 2025 4th round housing spending plan. The accessory uses are again the same in terms of they're uses that are complementary to the permitted uses. Open space, parking, roads, and utilities are also permitted uses. So the project has a minimum project area of 5 acres. Again, they'd have to come in as a single site plan application. Maximum number of units is 63. That includes the 2 single family lots. The maximum building height would be 3.5 stories and 52 feet. I just want to clarify that the 52-foot height is based on the height taken from the garage while you're looking at the garage to the peak. So I know there was a lot of questions about what that unit looks like because there's such a drastic grade change. We've defined the height in this redevelopment plan as being when you're standing at the garage and looking up, what is the height of the building? So it would be a maximum of 52 feet. And that again, still has to do with a lot of the grade change that occurs. Maximum number of phases are 3. Maximum surface coverage is 60%. Again, surface coverage is the building, roof lines, sidewalks, and the driveways can't be more than 60%. Building coverage can be a maximum of 30% and a minimum of 12 units for the affordable housing. The front yard setback is 100 feet. South property boundary is 25 feet to the building. To block 2601, and I'll show you in the next slide, you'll be able to see the different block and lots. 2601 lot 101. Let me see if I can get to it. So on the right is a blow up. So the dark line next to the blue represents a retaining wall. That retaining wall, when you're standing on Edward Place, that retaining wall is flat and then goes down. So there'll be a fence required on top of on the property line and on top of the retaining wall. That retaining wall has been moved back from the site plan application to a minimum of, it is shown at 20 feet, but we have a minimum of 18 to lot 8. So we've increased the setback of the retaining wall there to to lot 4 and to lot 3. We have 10-foot where in the site plan application, it was significantly closer. We had a building that was 10 feet from the property line. Now the building is required to be 25 feet. So again, we've improved the conditions for this particular area. We have specific height requirements for the retaining wall. So this is the other side. This would be the north side along lot 101. We have a minimum of the retaining wall of 10 feet. Right in the middle is where it breaks from a wall that is exposed, meaning that you can see the wall from the adjacent block, to where it cannot be seen, where you can only see the retaining wall from the cul-de-sac. That happens right in the middle. And so when you're standing in the cul-de-sac and you look to the top of the page, you actually see the retaining wall. So the grade is lower, and right in the middle is where it breaks on the other way. And then the last location we have adjacent to, my eyes aren't that good, to 2601, we have again 13 foot to the landing, 6 foot to where the retaining wall is. Again, that retaining wall is exposed to the interior. So when you're standing on the adjacent property, you're not seeing that retaining wall. We've put other requirements in terms of flood mitigation, stormwater, infrastructure improvements. We've required the 3 of the townhomes. The townhomes are the blue. Townhomes are the blue ones. Have elevators. The elevations, materials, and design have to be consistent with the redevelopment plan. Foundation plantings are required, and unit elevations shall be consistent with the elevations of the fronts, so that you're not getting a side elevation with different materials. We also have a series of landscape and streetscape improvements that are required. Again, we have minimum landscape of 30%, lighting dark sky compliant, internal roads maintained by the HOA. Again, a private hauler for the garbage. We had the fire department review the site plan so that they could make sure that they could make all of the necessary turns. Parking requirements are 1.8 for a 1-bedroom, 2 for a 2-bedroom, and 2.1 for a 3-bedroom. In regards to the consistency review, again, this plan is consistent with the 4th round housing spending plan in that it provides affordable housing. It was identified in that plan, so it's necessary to include it. We've increased the number of affordable housing from the previous to a minimum of 12. Again, there are a number of goals related to Broadway regarding making sure that there are patterns of development that are recommended within the PA1, which is a type of area within the state that support the Main Street, the commercial corridors, putting residential adjacent to the existing train station and existing retail supports those retail uses. So we believe it meets that consistency. We provided a balance of land uses. In other words, not just on this particular site, but also when you take this site in consideration to the Broadway corridor, this is a land use that is consistent with a balanced amount of land uses. Again, it's consistent with the fact that it is so close to the train station. It provides a rateable where there has been none of any consequence here. So we believe for those reasons, this particular plan also can be deemed consistent with the borough's master plan. And be happy to answer any questions. I don't apologize for how long I speak. I probably should, though.
I mean,
More of a site plan question. Is there sufficient park? Is there gonna be sufficient parking? Obviously, there's a requirement. I mean, just look at the renderings, make it look a little sparse, but
Yeah. So the requirements of the plan from a parking standpoint are what we would typically deem as RSIS, which is the highest standard in terms of parking requirements. So a one-bedroom will require 1.8 spaces, a two-bedroom, 2 spaces, and a three-bedroom, 2.1 spaces. In addition, there are actually extra spaces left over. So there's parking within the buildings, which is why it doesn't look like there's
Right,
that much
garage,
parking.
I get that, but for visitors, things like that.
Yeah, there's visitor parking surrounding, and let me see if I can,
I think it's in the middle of I see
Yeah.
it.
so you can see that there's parking located in the middle, and then there's additional parking here. So what the applicant will have to prove when they come in is that they're going to meet those requirements.
Okay.
But we believe that the plan has adequate parking.
Requirements gonna be, yeah.
Actually, we believe it's more than adequate, but for the purposes of the plan, we believe what we've shown is certainly adequate.
And the retaining walls that you spoke of that were moved, those are the ones to the south?
So let me see if I can. So these retaining walls here, where my cursor is on which would be the right side, those were moved back off of the properties. The buildings were moved further away from the property line. In the plan, we required that one wall, this wall right here next to the red, that's what we would call an exposed retaining wall. So from here, so when you're standing on,
The property, as you're coming
Yeah.
up the hill, it's exposed.
it's exposed, and it's also exposed from the side.
Right.
When you get to the retaining wall where the blue units are,
Right,
those are all internal, so they're not exposed.
retaining the neighbors there.
Yeah. And so we've addressed and required that those retaining walls be maximum heights of 9 feet for 2 of them on the right side, which is less than what was permitted as part of the site plan application. And they're further away, and the building's further away.
Do you know
On-
what the gap is between property line to retaining walls now? Roughly?
There, it's 10 feet required. Where the blue is, it's 20. The plan requires 18, but it shows 20. So 10 foot now, it used to be 3. The site plan application that was approved had it at 3 foot. Now it's 10.
Right, I remember we were trying to argue with them for 5.
And on the top, instead of at 10, it's now 20. It's required at 18, but it's shown at 20. On the other side, they're 10 away.
Right, and 10 foot, in your opinion, I know that you also happen to have a landscape planner's license.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Is that still active?
A lot of questions. It is.
Is that a little better for vegetation and being able to put plants
Yeah.
to survive and being able to put a little better buffer if they're gonna put?
So they're tiered.
Right.
So, and they're tiered and stepped, so there's enough dimension between the retaining walls, it's about 6 feet. Where they can plant between the retaining walls and then on both sides, both above and below. Whereas prior to that, you would just had an exposed retaining.
And I remember there also being an issue with, I think that didn't they have parking also over there? So now,
Yes,
they're no longer parking on the south side either. Right?
I don't believe there was ever, I believe that it was shown like that, although the whole road is moved a little bit over to what would be the left side of the
To the
page.
north, right?
To the north, yeah.
Right. And then the 2 single family lots are still just gonna be 2 single family lots on the east side, right?
Yeah, and I would not expect that they're gonna come in with any sort of building elevation for the single family. They-
Right, they don't want any part of that. In theory, they're gonna sell that to a developer. To build
Probably.
2 single family lots.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's certainly substantially better.
Sure.
Right, I got a question. So you had mentioned 52 feet from the garage side.
Yeah.
What is it, a 10-foot difference to the front side? Is it like 42 foot on the front? Do you know what the elevation is on the front side?
So if you're standing between the blue and the red.
Yeah.
And you turn and you look at the blue, it's permitted to go to 52 feet high. I will tell you that the building elevations that they have in the plans aren't at 52 feet. They're simply asking for some flexibility. The issue becomes these 2 red buildings, right? So the elevation at the garage facing side, again, 3.5 stories, 52 feet. On the other side, I believe they are lower by 1 level.
So it's even
They're
higher.
exposed. So that was a big kind of part of the site plan application. Because how you define building height is when you're standing on Broadway looking up, you're gonna see a 4.5 story exposed, right?
Yeah, I remember, I mean, that was a big topic of conversation in the
Yes.
first one. And so that's why I was concerned, because from Broadway, if and I don't know what it is, but if the garage side is on the Broadway side.
It's not,
Okay, it's on the other side.
it's on the other side.
But, so that means that the Broadway side is even taller.
It is.
Yeah, okay.
And
Not
from,
taller than the 52.
Yes.
it is,
It is.
it is. The 52 is as you're facing the garage, so all the, I don't know if you could put that site plan back
So
on.
it's more like 65, 62, 65.
Yeah, if you remember, like it doesn't change from the site plan application perspective. In other words, the condition of these front red units on the south side, which is the right side, is no different than
what was approved.
than what was approved, right? We have just redefined building height because of the amount of misunderstanding that occurred in what building height was.
And just remind, I don't know if you have it, but the setback from Broadway to the southern red, is that south? Yeah,
It's a minimum of 100 feet.
a minimum of 100, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, and I understand the visual of this, and I don't disagree that there will be cover. There'll be trees, there'll be landscape in front. I don't believe that when it's built, it's gonna look
Just like that.
just like that. But the notion is that there is this large landscape area that the grades are gonna go up towards the retaining walls. There will be landscape in front of it. I know that there was a significant amount of landscape
Well,
proposed.
as the landscape matures, it will fill in substantially.
Yes,
Yeah, however, before it matures, there's going to be significant retaining walls visible from the streets.
there will be 2 retaining walls of in the ballpark of 10 feet. They might be a little bit more, a little bit less. So there's gonna be like 20 foot of retaining walls, and then there'll be the building, which will be the 3.5 stories plus the one below, right? So,
This is a tough lot to build.
Yeah.
but the objective here is that within the first 100 feet, you're not taking away and regrading that part of it. So the elevation that's there now, the natural slope will stay, and then you're gonna build in the 2 retainings. It is a very difficult site to develop. And what we wanted to do is where we could make improvements from the site plan that was approved, we wanted to do that. We didn't feel there was a way to change that substantially. We thought that they did a good job from a landscape standpoint. There was a tremendous amount of landscape that this board required, and I think you should require it again of the application.
Is there any other use for that landscaped area? Is it just landscaping? Is it?
So it's part of a DEP required setback off of the
Reservoir.
yeah. And so there's not anything they can really do with it. There will be sidewalks and streetscape, but they really can't.
So you could, it'll be like a walking area or?
There probably will not be,
Okay,
because the grades are so,
it'll just be main road sidewalk landscaping.
yeah.
And they're gonna comply with the Broadway, just again, they'll come in for a new site plan application.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Is that my understanding?
Last one.
It did.
I would hope that they'll understand with, and again, this being done, there's a whole lot less variables there for them to discuss and go through, right?
Yeah, this again should be very, we look at zoning as a box, and the redevelopment plan really just shrinks the box. So you really have to get within that very small parameters of change that they could propose.
Mr. Chose.
The access road push further
North.
It's on the same location as the original design, which I think cuts down on the length of that road and the slope of that.
Yes, so.
I know this, I worked on Fran,
Right.
and did a lot of review with it.
And I think it also comes in the middle, it doesn't move around.
Yes, so
Yes.
This is better.
This is so.
It was the neighbors.
the road,
Every car coming in and out of the
Oh, that's
subdivision
right.
was basically gonna be hitting the neighbors with lights.
yeah, so the road originally you can see where the property line comes right down the middle, right where the blue and right down the middle there, that's the property line. The previous application was everything on the right of that. So the road started at that entrance and actually wrapped around closest to the property lines. We've now moved everything to the north and put the road in the middle. So it's less grades, as David said,
More balanced.
and a better location from a design center. Yeah, overall, the retaining walls are lower. I'm not gonna say significant, they're lower. We have fought that.
Significance a relative term.
Yeah.
Again, just a significantly difficult, site to build on. So look forward to seeing their application.
I just had a couple questions, if you don't mind. The 52-foot height, did the fire department review that? Because 52 feet where the 30-foot reach is the maximum capacity of their ladder. So I know that they probably looked at the turning radius and the hydrant locations, but do they know that this is a 52-foot height with potentially a 30-foot reach?
So what I'll say is that the building designs have not changed from the site plan approval. I did not specifically ask the fire chief to review the building height and reaches. I will do that, but their designs in terms of the floor plans, the elevations are consistent with what was approved previously.
Okay.
I'll go back to the fire chief and I'll make sure he's aware of that and I'll ask him if he has any.
Does the fire department usually weigh in during site plan review?
They do.
They did,
Well, they do for-
but I don't know if they were specifically asked about how.
Yeah, but they sometimes look at like hydrant location, turning radius, and that's it. But if you think about it from a firefighting standpoint, if they don't know that. Plus, if you have a driveway that's 20 feet and you're parking the truck, 10 feet into the roadway, that's 30 feet.
Yeah.
If you have a 95-foot truck, which they have.
It helps a little bit to know that the buildings in red will be fully sprinklered because they are.
Those are stack units.
They're stack units, or in essence, they are an apartment type of unit. The blues were likely for sale where you own the land, so
Are
we'll
they still
check
gonna
with.
break these up? Didn't they originally have multiple different lots and stuff like that they were designating everything?
They did, they subdivided into multiple. We've eliminated.
That's gone, right? So this will be just.
I did have two others, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
One, when you guys talked about this, I think at the last meeting, right, I was on Zoom, so does this include like what I call the Stonehenge property, because I don't know what else that's called, like the property with all the
I'm not sure.
stones?
Oh, the new retaining walls? No.
That's not inclusive of that.
I think that's
What is that the one before the last name?
I think that's,
It's on.
Right to the.
To the right.
Right of the main one.
It's to the left of the carpet, well, the old carpet.
correct, it's to the south.
Okay, so that's not.
No.
No, that guy just spent a lot of money on his retaining walls.
Okay. All right, and then.
I think that's Keith's brother, I think.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. The last question is, for the traffic study that they're gonna provide us, are we able to ask them specifically to include traffic during rush hour with like the train down and people backed up and people exiting this property? Is that possible that we do that?
Yeah, I just want to confirm, but
There's a section.
yeah, they are required to provide a traffic study and they're required to provide it based on all approved projects within half mile. So when they come to the board, what I would say is when they initiate an application, the board planner, David, should in his review letter request what the board wants in terms of the information of the traffic study. That way they can do it and present it to you for the board. So I would say once an application comes in, that David should reach out to Clarice and the chairman and say, what is it that we want to make sure they provide? And you put it in your letter. That's how I would deal with it. They are required to do that.
They have a typical standard they follow, or we could request specific.
I think they're gonna go through the EIT,
Right, there's a standard
Numbers.
they follow.
but
Are we allowed to request?
I think if you have parameters you want, I mean, they're gonna talk about peak morning time and peak afternoon, but I think that
We already have that, the traffic backs up. pretty significantly already.
They had a study last time.
Right.
But the added component
They had the other component.
of the train and it being down, I think that's a fair
Okay.
assessment for them to request.
Benji, any questions? You know this site pretty well from the last time.
Not everybody's looking at me happily.
And Fran, just for hypothetical. Somebody just wants to build X amount of houses there, they're still gonna do the retaining walls, right? Because of all the grading and everything, you're gonna end up still with a very
Yeah.
sophisticated construction project, whether it's this or 8 new individual homes that are 1,000 feet each.
Yeah.
It's gonna run into the same mechanical.
Yeah,
issues,
so a
regardless.
classic example of that is,
And they don't.
remember the name of the one,
Yeah.
what's the one I'm thinking about?
Off
Yeah,
Pass
Old,
Grove.
Old Pass,
Yeah.
which was approved in like 2004. Originally for 6 or 8,
Yep.
large homes, they built a road, never got built. Got sold to another developer, they attempted, never got built, and then I think they're on their 3rd round, we approved them for, can't remember how many, maybe 20 townhomes or something like that. But instead of doing a bunch of big homes, they're doing a few townhomes each level. And it's still, it's expensive to build on these types of things, so, So, from a plan point of view, I mean, it seems to be consistent with our amended plan.
It's consistent with the housing plan. Page 24, or that goes through the state. That sees on the initial application, I think this is.
Right.
This is it.
I can't disagree with that. So if we can get a motion for consistent review of our redevelopment plan for 240, 258, and 264 Broadway.
Second.
Mr. Leslie?
Yes.
Piero?
Yeah.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Duan?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. DeStefano?
Yes.
Ms. Peckinpah? Yes. Chairman Bellamy?
Yes.
Thank you.
I did.
So job.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
All right, hang on. Could we open to the motion, to open the public, please?
So, thank you.
Second, all in favor, paying attention?
Yeah.
Anyone from the public have any questions, comments?
Lots of presentations, lots of information. I will suggest, I'm gonna pass along.
If you can, Mr. Taylor, I know that we know who you are, but you gotta go through the skits.
Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey, GPS on the police. I suggest in the future that presentations that are already received be put up on the website, so we can look at those at least and not be trying to reach and see with my camera what's happening from football.
Taylor, everything's on the website on Friday.
I have a copy of the website on my phone right here, and it does not show that there's a link to any of this information. And that's right now.
Well, these presentations were not given to me, but the plans were. So all the plans are on the land use board now.
I'll give you my phone. If you can find it, I'll give you $100. How's that?
Okay.
Is your credit card tagged to your phone? We get more than that.
Could be. All I'm saying is, if it was there, I would have looked at it. It's not. That's why we're looking at it. So I'm just saying for the future, that's all I'm saying. The other thing is. This article that was in the Pascack Press. Talking about Borough Affordable Housing Plan hearing, for tonight. Has this been reviewed with you to know whether this is correct or not, the information that's in there?
I didn't see the article.
Okay, just checking.
Is there something about the article that you want to question, or?
Well, if you add up all the developments that are there, there's 11 of them. 11 separate applications before the board that are here and were already approved. And if you add up all of the individual units, both affordable townhomes, rentals, whatever you come up with 755 units. Now, there's 2,100 units in the town right now, according to boroughs. According to the state of New Jersey. So that's a 35% increase in a borough in the next perhaps 3 to 5 years. Is that typical of what's happening in the state of New Jersey?
No, it's actually probably 20% of what's typical. Look at what happened to Montville. Montville's 5,000, I don't know, maybe not 5,000, probably
Yeah.
like 2,000 units they've had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So we're doing the best we can. What do I suggest is call your state representative.
no.
That's the
I
best thing
hear
that you can do.
I hear you. There's other towns that went through all of this, like Montclair, that found out that, oops, they didn't have enough money to run their school, so they have a $20 million fund that they have to go
That's
back.
not what
In
how
order
they
to keep going. It's not us, I understand that, but I'm just saying. I don't know where all of this ends with the state. I'll go to the state representative.
That's-
I hear you.
That's
It's not-
where you gotta go.
It's not you.
It's not us. Unfortunately.
You're doing what you can. Keep your eyes open as to what's happening is all I can say. And I have so many questions, I couldn't possibly keep you here long enough. So if you don't mind, I'd like to put it together, send it over to the secretary and put that on record as what questions I have, rather than keep you here.
Appreciate it.
Acceptable?
Good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Report yourself then.
Good luck. Anyone else from the public have any
I said
comments?
yesterday, you couldn't park any place in New Jersey because you had to stay with the roads.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, ma'am. You just,
I'm gonna come here.
yeah, if you don't mind, close to the microphone, just state your name, please, in town.
My name is Gail Levinson, and I've been a resident here in Woodcliff Lake for, I think it's 41 years. And it's been a great experience, and I've raised 2 children here who are now off doing their own thing. As a resident, I want to thank all of you for all this hard work, and for the consultants who are doing a massive amount of work also, and creating developments that are going to look beautiful and are going to be safe. But I do have to add, also as a resident of this town, while I know this has been difficult for all of you, the affordable housing that you are required to provide based upon state law, the supportive housing component of it, which will allow X number of individuals or couples who were born with some pretty serious disabilities and who otherwise would be living with their parents or their siblings or in some kind of a semi-institutional place. They'll have their own individual rental for the most part to live as independently as they can. And that is a really good thing that we should all feel very good about. The other part is families who will be in affordable homes or affordable rentals, even the ones with kids, including absolutely the ones with kids who are hardworking people who otherwise would never, ever be able to afford their own home or a rental that is safe and beautiful in a town like Woodcliff Lake. Think about that. And you're going to make this opportunity available to them. And then the third piece are the seniors like me who live in a house that's too damn big for them. And if we want to stay in this town or near to this town, maybe there'll be a rental or even a condo that we can purchase and we can live out the rest of our years here. So it's tough. I know you've been through a lot, but there's a silver lining in some of this, and we should all feel very good about that. So thank you.
Thank you. First, thank you.
No comments. I just have a copy of the Pascack Press article. You said you didn't see it.
No.
I stopped reading.
All right, I think that's it for the public. We got a motion to close. All in favor? Aye. And motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.